Hello everyone, Justin here, and I just saw Spider-Man Far From Home. Now I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible because usually these improvised, unscripted videos end up being like 30, 40 minutes long, 20 minutes at the shortest. That can't continue. So I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. But yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home was a lot of fun. I was really looking forward to this movie for a multitude of reasons. Number one of my teachers at film school was in the art department, so that was cool. I was on set for one of the second unit scenes. Unfortunately, got cut, wasn't in the movie. For a lot of the Prague scenes, I was in the immediate area because a lot of this movie was shot in Prague, and I recently lived in Prague. And so I was really excited for the movie for that reason, but also because, from a story perspective, this is the first MCU movie without Iron Man, post Iron Man's death. And this is the first MCU movie post Endgame. The snap has happened. Everyone was brought back. And I was really curious to see how the world would respond to that. What changes would the world see as a result of that event? I was hoping Endgame would go into that. It really didn't, though. So I was hoping, okay, maybe this is the movie that's going to go into that. It kind of is, really, because they don't acknowledge it all that much in this movie. First of all, there's a slang term for it. Officially, Marvel calls it the decimation, but everyone in this movie simply refers to it as the blip, which I think is an interesting thing to call it. It's not. It doesn't really convey the magnitude of what happened. I personally would not describe it as a blip, but I guess in today's world it makes sense to call it that. And, you know, if there's a humorous euphemism for it, I totally get that. This is the most crazy thing that's ever happened in the history of mankind. You know, of course people are going to try and find a slightly lighthearted euphemism for it. So calling it the blip, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. A sense that you get in this movie is that the world, it's become part of reality. Like, the initial shock of, holy crap, this happened, is gone. The initial shock of it is gone. It's been 5 years since it happened. It's only been about 6 or 8 months since everyone was brought back. But people have had 5 years to let this sink in. And because of that, everyone just kind of treats it as this normal thing. It happened. And I was a little disappointed about that at first, but then I was like, no, that makes sense. This is a shared experience everyone on the entire planet had. It's the most universal thing. It's kind of like, where were you on 9/11? Where were you when the blip happened? You know, so I get it. It wasn't how I expected it to be, but I get it. But as a movie, as a standalone thing, as a Spider-Man movie, this is a lot of fun. I mean, everything that people liked and everything that I liked from Homecoming is here also. The very likable characters, the very funny writing, the quick one-liner Mel Brooks type jokes, you know, they're there. And really, that's the best way to describe this movie. It is just another Spider-Man movie from the same people who did Homecoming. That's really the best way to describe this, because pretty much every good thing I can say about Homecoming, I can say the exact same thing about with this movie. This is a very different movie than Homecoming. This is not Homecoming again, but the good things about this movie are the same good things about Homecoming, to the point where if you liked Homecoming, you will like this. There isn't anything specific I can say that this movie does really well that's different than what Homecoming did well. It's the same basic things. The writing's really funny, the characters are really likable, the premise is unique, something Spider-Man movies haven't done before. The comics have done it a million times, but the movies haven't. So I only had one major problem with the movie, one significant problem with the movie, and that is the villain's motivation is not entirely believable, but I think that's just because it wasn't fleshed out enough. And maybe there were some scenes that were shot and then cut out where it was fleshed out more, but in my personal opinion, the villain's motivation was not fleshed out enough to the point where I knew what he was fighting for, and I could tell you what he was fighting for, but it was not entirely believable. It didn't really feel there. It felt like I was being told it was there, but it didn't really feel there. It could have been fleshed out more. This is where I'm going to start getting into spoilers, because there's not much I can say about this movie without spoilers. So, spoiler warning from here on out right now. Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio ends up being the bad guy, which not only was I highly suspective of going in anyway, simply because number one, the trailers didn't show a particular villain, and I was like, okay, then Mysterio's probably the villain. Number two, in the comics, Mysterio is a villain who uses illusions, so I was really going to be surprised if they did something different than that. And then, thirdly, when you start watching the movie, it's so freaking obvious from the beginning he is going to be the villain. I mean, he's just the most nice, kind, supportive, you go get him, Peter, guy. Like, nobody that nice in a movie is actually as nice as they seem. Like, it was so obvious going in, this guy's gonna be the bad guy. But, despite that, the twist of everything being an illusion, and this whole thing of the elementals and everything, it's all fake, was, even though I kind of sort of saw it coming because of who Mysterio is in the comics, it felt unexpected. It wasn't unexpected, but it felt unexpected. The movie did a good job of tricking me into thinking I didn't expect it. And that's kind of impressive because it wasn't unexpected, but it felt unexpected. It felt like a really good twist. And if the movie can trick me into thinking I wasn't expecting it, that's pretty good. And now, one thing I want to say about this movie is, and I know I should have said this in the spoiler-free section, but if you are someone who doesn't usually stay for after the credits scenes, because there are still a lot of people out there like that, they don't stay for after credits scenes, you need to with this movie. Like, the after credits scenes for this movie change the movie. Like, they change your entire view of the entire film. What everything was leading to, what was happening the whole time. Not only is there the twist that Nick Fury and Maria Hill in the movie were Skrulls the entire time, there's that twist in one of the after credits scenes, and Nick Fury's actually in space somewhere working with the Skrulls on something. But also, Mysterio framed Spider-Man for everything. And it's not entirely believable because, oh yeah, Mysterio just happened to leave this perfectly well-edited video, with perfect sound and perfect image and stuff. And, like, it's not entirely believable, but still, for what it is, yeah, Spider-Man ends up getting framed for everything in the movie in the last after credits scene, and his identity gets revealed to the public. And so now, the massive cliffhanger that this movie ended on is not only does the entire world know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man now, but he's been framed for everything that happened in the movie. And now, presumably, the third Spider-Man movie, because a third one has been confirmed, is going to be this. So that I was not expecting. I was not expecting that final twist. And so I was just like, I was not expecting the thing with the Skrulls either, but like, really the big major thing about this was that it ended the way it did. And now this massive cliffhanger and this massive setup for the next movie. I'm really interested to see what they do with the third one. I'm really interested to see what they do with Spider-Man having to be on the run and having to clear his name. Yeah, it's an overdone plot. It's been done with a million other movies before. Captain America Winter Soldier did it, sort of, kind of. So yeah, it's been done before. If you can tell a story that's been done before in a unique and interesting way, then I'm on board, especially with how likable these characters are, with how much I want to go on more adventures with these characters, with how much I want to see them do more stuff, and see them go through more struggles and see how they overcome it and stuff. So yes, this plot of someone being framed for something they didn't do and having to go on the run has been done a million times before, but if they can do it in a really unique and interesting way, which Homecoming and this movie have taught me that they probably can, then I'm okay with it. And I'm really interested to see how well it goes. But the most amazing thing in this movie. You ready? It's not the most amazing thing in this movie, but I was just so happy. I literally clapped out loud in the theater, which is something I never do. I'm usually the most quiet moviegoer. but I did this because I was just so effing happy. J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson. Yes! I'm sorry, like, I'm open to new interpretations of characters, but I don't want to see anyone other than J.K. Simmons play J. Jonah Jameson. I don't want anyone other. Is he the only actor to play the same character in two different iterations of Spider-Man? Is he? I'm really interested to. TV shows aside, I'm talking movies. That's interesting, but yeah. J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson. Oh my goodness. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I know this was a much shorter out of character review than usual, and it didn't go into as much detail, but I need to do that because I just can't. If I completely let myself loose on these improvised, unscripted videos, it's just gonna go. It's gonna go as long as it usually does, and they can't keep being that long. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. The In Defense of Jurassic Park 3 is coming at some point. The script is there. The script is finished. It's done. I just need to do it at some point, and I'm trying to move out of my parents' house right now. I'm trying to get my life, the next chapter of my life started, so I really don't have that much time for YouTube right now. So it's happening. I just don't know when. But yeah, that's what you can look forward to in the future. And thank you guys. Bye bye.